I was spending so much time out of my day blankly staring down at this fancy little rectangle, getting more and more mentally exhausted by the minute. And the worst part was, I think, is that most of the time when I was looking at it, I was supposed to be taking a break or like hanging out with family and friends or whatever. And so I had just about enough of that a couple of years ago, and I started making a few changes here and there. And since then, it has been good. It has been very, very good. And I'm a visual person, and the only way I can describe it is that my brain was like winched out of a thick fog or something. I don't know. I'll show you what I did, and maybe it can help you too. That phone, and all the phones before it, has had unfettered access to me in my life at all times. And so my natural thought was, I need to just have more distance between me and this device. But I was forgetting about the part how that phone does so many useful things in my life that at this point, I don't want to live without. If I was just gonna not bring my phone, but I still want to be as productive or as creative as I want to be in that day, I'm gonna have to replace it with some things. And for me, the three things that have made this all possible have been my watch, my tablet, and my camera. And I want to stress that this video is not about just getting rid of your phone completely. It's about utilizing the best qualities of the phone and leaving all the crap behind. It's about using it for its strengths instead of my phone using me. Yes, I am wearing different clothes in every single shot because I very recently cracked a bunch of ribs. And so this video's taken a while to shoot. But yeah, this video is not about going out and buying more stuff to solve problems. It's about changing one's relationship with their phone. And here are the first big things that I did. So anything that you can do to like slowly, systematically break the habit of picking up your phone all the time is a step in the right direction. So I started with turning off the always on display. But when you actually go into the phone, I made the very first page of my home screen blank, other than a picture of my wife standing in a literal prison, staring up at my screen time report. Take that for what you will. Then I go and take this phone into a completely different room to where I'm gonna be for most of the day, and I put it in a drawer. And now I have made it properly annoying to go and grab that phone for anything but the most essential tasks where I really, really need it, which as it turns out is almost never. I've got to get out. I've got to get out. That's a fake plant, by the way. And it's time for your fun fact of the day. And when I first heard this, it only made me a little bit nauseous. The average smartphone user is on their phone for roughly 3 hours per day, which might not sound that bad. But if you run that over the course of a year, that accounts for 48 whole days, over a month and a half worth just staring at your phone per year. Now here's the craziest part. If you run that figure against the number of global active smartphone users, it comes out to, and I did the numbers a few times on this, so like it's real. The number comes out to 220 billion days worth of collective human life spent doing this every year. It's Halloween now, and I still haven't finished this video. At least my ribs are starting to feel better. Ow. Okay, so that last fun fact kind of stank, but here's one that's a little bit cheerier for you. When I was looking at my phone's analytics and my screen time reports, I started realizing that the vast majority of the time when I would grab my phone, I would do something productive on it, like writing a note or an idea down or taking a photo or using it for maps and driving around, stuff like that. It was only after I did the productive thing that I would spend the next, say, 40 minutes down a rabbit hole on some social media app. So if we could just grab something else instead of the phone to do those good productive things, well, I can tell you that went a heck of a long way for me. So let's go over those three things I mentioned earlier. And don't think of it as losing your phone, because you're not. You're still gonna be using your phone here and there when it makes the most sense. But for these moments, think of it as an opportunity to utilize some things that you actually love and want to use on a daily basis. We are going to an abandoned Cold War bunker that's now just like a giant hole drilled into the side of this mountain. And for me personally, if we're talking about things that we love to use in our daily lives, nothing hits home for me quite like my camera. This is my Leica M2. I've been shooting Leica cameras for 12, 13 years now as my main camera. I don't know if I'll ever want to use anything else. And one of the big reasons for that is, I mean, this one's film. I've had digital Leicas too, But one thing I've had in common with all of them is they're not connected to Instagram or to TikTok or to the cloud in any way whatsoever. I mean, I take a photo on film and I'm not gonna see those results back for probably a month. I've gotta shoot through a few rolls and send it off to my guy in BC, and he's gonna dev and scan those things, and one day eventually I'll get them back. And so all that to say is, these cameras are great, but you definitely don't have to invest in some old super quirky film camera. I highly recommend going into some thrift store, any thrift store, or a garage sale, and buying a $10 or $15 digital point and shoot camera. Those things are super fun and quirky and really small, and you can capture your lives with those things and not worrying about what filters and effects you're gonna put on and what other people are gonna think about those filters and effects and posting those online immediately and all those different things. You just take your photo and keep enjoying whatever's going on in your life at the moment. It's great. Now onto the device that really ties the room together, smartwatch. Yeah, cool. Okay, so this whole sort of last minute hike to a cave came about because after, a year and a half of testing this whole phoneless system, and as I'm about to go and tell the entire world how great it is and how everybody should do it, there was one glaring omission, and that was yes, ma'am. Taking your watch without a phone to sync with out on like a hike where you need turn-by-turn directions to get somewhere. It's just giving me turn-by-turn directions too, which is cool. Pretty cool for a hiking trail. I hear sometimes there's climbers overhead, but I don't see any, so shouldn't get any boulders in the brain. Cave should just be right up here. Says my watch. Yeah, should be right. And there's a giant cave. Look at that thing. And it may not have been as seamless and easy as I would have liked. We did get it figured out, and the watch took us straight to where we needed to go. So I'll say up front, I tried to do this whole thing, like leaving my phone at home and getting an LTE connected smartwatch, but that old Apple Watch had such terrible battery life, I could not get through like half of a day before it getting down into the red zone. And that's just not gonna work if you're trying to rely on something like this for getting important phone calls or texts or whatever. So it was only now that just like this last generation of smartwatches, and again, it doesn't have to be Apple, it can be any brand, whatever. I'm just in that ecosystem and it's pretty hard to get out of it. But now with battery life getting so much better and connectability getting so much stronger, I feel really confident having this watch on me and knowing that I'm gonna be able to get that phone call or that text. And especially when you're connected with a pair of wireless earbuds, when you're in the grocery store, you can do a quiet little voice to text, or you can take that phone call. You don't have to be that guy. Listen to your music through this. You can listen to your podcasts through this and into your earbuds. Everything's pretty seamless no matter what company you go with. It's honestly a really nice experience, and it kind of brings me back to all the functionality that I had in the original smartphones. Dating myself a little bit here, but when the original smartphones came out, they did everything your phone did, which was awesome, and then a whole bunch of other cool things, like being able to map you places. And these can do that too. And what's really neat about that is I can't remember which it is, but I think it taps your wrist 3 times for right and 4 times for left. So you just drive and it's just like doot, doot, doot. Oh, time to turn right. It's pretty cool. But anyways, so it does all these really cool things that we were all super excited about without having the ability to have the apps on it that really drag us down, or drag me down anyways. Now, I know some people go the dumb phone route where they get a phone that's like, super old Nokia or whatever, or some newer purpose-built dumb phone that's just for making calls and texts. But I found that I still wanted to be able to get around using maps, and I still wanted to be able to do my workout tracking and all that kind of stuff. And so I really feel like the latest generation smartwatches are kind of best of all worlds. Now let's kick it back to Inside Ryan to talk about the best tech purchase I think I've made in years. Thanks, Outside Ryan. Well, this is a Remarkable 2 paper tablet. I'm not gonna go super into detail and in depth on the device itself because I did an entire video on it, which you go and check out. This is basically a fancy pad of paper. That's all it is. It's sort of like a digital version of a notebook. For years and years and years, I've always used notebooks and notepads to write down, whether it's like journaling or planning or any kind of writing that I need to do. I would try to use paper and pen. 1, I like the feel of it more. And then 2, I don't have notifications popping up on this or on this. That's why I actually went with this. There's no apps, there's no nothing. This really does just function like fancy paper, basically. And so this tablet syncs with my phone. So I can do script writing, I can do planning and checklists and all of that, sync over to my phone. And then when I'm out on a shoot in the middle of the woods or whatever, and I have my phone on me, I can use that. So kind of best of both worlds. So this is just yet another way to do the things in my day that I need to do, want to do, have to do, whatever, that isn't pulling me away from the important things in my life. Like this thing is trying to do constantly. Okay, we're in the cave. It's creepy as. But like Seth and Angie have been here and they must have made it out, so if Seth and Angie can do it. It splits too, right? As soon as we entered the cave, zero service. So during the Civil War, Cold War, I meant the Cold War, not the infamous Canadian Civil War. Canada decided that they needed to find somewhere where they could put all their super sensitive documents so that if a nuclear blast went off, they'd be protected. Nuclear blast. So they hired this company to come here, dig into this mountain, and build a safe. So they started digging, and this was gonna be all like completely self-sufficient, like 100%. But then one, I guess water kept getting in, which isn't great for documents, and then two, the Cold War ended. So then they just left it like this. Oh, how I wish this was all just a gag, that it was just a joke about how long this video is taking. It's not even Christmas anymore. We're into a whole nother year, and I'm still not done finishing this video up yet. Anyways, what you want to know is, how is it for a normal-ish person to actually not bring their phone with them all the time and not have it on them? Is it a huge pain in the butt? Is it even really doable? Is it worth it? The answer is yes to all of that. Let's go over into the studio where there's actually a chair I can sit on for a change.
Sorry, I'm still not sure about that.
What else is new? What was really crazy to me is that, well, I still do this, but especially in the first few months when I was trying to just not have my phone on me, I would go, yeah, I'm going to the grocery store or going out for coffee with my friend, and I'm not gonna bring my phone. Feeling pretty great about that, put my phone down, I get ready to go, I leave and get in my car, and there is my phone. I had brought it with me. It's just like muscle memory. If you go to leave the house, wallet, keys, phone, wallet, keys, phone. And now if I did actually manage to leave my phone at home, which is most of the time, and let's say my partner Beth and I, we go to a store and she pops in there, I stay in the car, whatever. She goes and all of a sudden you realize you have absolutely nothing to do in that car. And it's a weird feeling because I don't think any of us have had that since, well, at least for over a decade now. And all of a sudden, I swear, it's like your brain has now been given permission once again to just start churning away, thinking about stuff. Write a few things in my notepad if I have it on me. And it winds up being really, really nice. But not really at first. Sometimes I find myself in a city or in a driving situation or in a biking situation where I've got to have lots of like pretty detailed instructions, and that was kind of tough on the watch. I find when it's like general basic instructions, not a problem, but when it's like turn here, turn there, turn there, turn there, it can get pretty hard to like keep track with your watch. So in those moments, I wanted my phone. Another pretty wild experience that I've had since like not having my phone on me most of the time when I'm out and about is like when I'm at, say, a brewery or a friend's place. You don't have a phone, but everybody else does. And everybody there is like this. It's like you've now decided to put your head up and you don't see anybody else's head up. Everyone else's head's down. I was like that for years. I still am like that every now and again, but holy smokes. Yeah, hit me like a ton of bricks. Very Black Mirror, I must say. Okay, so when do I use my phone? It's obviously an amazing device, and I'm not just gonna throw it in the trash because it's super, super useful. So when do I use this phone? When do I feel like it's the right time? Well, that's when I'm using it for its actual strengths. Like if I am driving around in a pretty confusing new place, I kind of want my phone on me so I can have a nice larger screen or connect to Apple Play with the vehicle, whatever it is, so I can properly see what I'm doing. Also, when I'm out filming for this channel, but mostly my other main channel, we are winching ourselves up mountains on mountain bikes, and a lot of times I just don't want to bring giant cameras with me, and so I'll bring this. Cameras are really good, and I'll use it for specifically that purpose. But now that I've kind of got this whole new sort of ecosystem set up around not using this thing very much, the amount of like decision fatigue and dopamine fatigue, which are two very real things when it comes to smartphones, is just so much better managed. And especially for a person like myself and my brain that works the way that it does, honestly, I just can't handle having this thing around me all the time. And so it took a little bit of work, it took a little bit of doing, but having this far away from me for most of the day has only done good things for my life. And maybe it can for you too. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a researcher. This has just been my experience. And hey, I really appreciate everybody watching. You know, I put out one video in 2023, and yet from that, almost 13,000 of you subscribed to want to see what was next. So I appreciate you all so much. I'm really looking forward to putting out a lot more on this channel this year, and we'll see you then.